Hey guys, so today it is Wednesday, it is New Comic Book Day, but I'm not here to talk about new comics, not today anyway. I did pick up my comics this week, but I haven't had a chance to read them yet. So this week, if I can just pull it up here, the only comics I had to pick up were The Incredible Hulk 8 and World Tree issue 7. I also did manage to pick up book 3 of The Boys, which is a great comic. I'm still on book 2, but I thought I've got a light week, I may as well pick up another one. So that's it for this week. I did also pick up a Wolverine box, storage box for comics, but I haven't put that in my comic storage section yet, so I'll be showing that off later. So it's Wednesday, and I would quite like to start a tradition, maybe, of every Wednesday it being a day to look back over comics in general, and in general my personal experience of comics. So what I want to start off with is it's Wednesday and I've got no new comics to talk about yet, so I think we will start where it all began, over here with book 1 of The Walking Dead. So if I just get this box set, I will be doing a review of this at some point. This is the first of the 20th anniversary box sets, so I'll do a review of them separately and what the quality is like, whether they were actually worth money, and, well, spoiler alert, I guess. Yes, in my opinion they were, but to a lot of people, especially if you already own all of the books, they're just not worth the money. So we'll have that as a nice background. You're not missing much if I move my microphone out of the way. So today we'll cover The Walking Dead, Volume 1, Days Gone By. So I guess this is where it all started. This is the beginning of The Walking Dead. Now, the story of this particular comic is almost the same as The Walking Dead Season 1. There's a few minor differences. First thing I do want to mention is that this is a lot more concise and to the point, moving on from one thing to the next. And I think that is because when this was first put out, the creator, Robert Kirkman, didn't know how long and whether his comic would do well. So he wanted it to be something that could be self-contained. Obviously, it then went on for 193 issues, and we've never looked back. But that's a possibility. So, where do we begin? Well, we begin, first page is, Rick being shot. As I showed you in one of my previous videos, Rick's shot. And he wakes up in the hospital, wanders around for a little bit, finds a couple of dead people. Interestingly enough, he does open the cafeteria doors, which don't have the dead inside, don't open on it. And he's confronted with a whole bunch of zombies, and he falls down a flight of stairs and makes it outside somehow. Then he comes across the bicycle girl, so that's fun, because, well, it's a big moment in the TV shows where it's like, oh my god, this woman is alive somehow when she's rotting and dead. Then he steals her bike and he goes home, nothing there, so he gets hit over the head, and then he meets Morgan, who tells him what's going on. They go to the police station, pick up a couple of guns, pick up his uniform, and Rick drives off into the sunset. So he heads over, on his way to Atlanta. The car runs out of gas and he picks up a horse, basically. And we get the famous shot for the season 1 poster on this page, just here. Him riding solo into Atlanta. And then he gets surrounded. He doesn't get caught in the tank, but he does get saved by Glenn. And Glenn, he sort of breaks down for a moment, and then Glenn takes him to the camp and he meets Laurie and Carl, his wife and child. We get introduced to the camp. Not much really happens in issue 3. There's a little bit of tension brewing between Shane and Rick, but we get to that. Then for issue 4, they do end up going to Atlanta to get guns, and then they come back and they are attacked. And then I think so they're attacked, and then issue 5 they beg your pardon, issue 4 is the gun raid, issue 5 they're doing target practice in the morning, and then they get attacked in the evening. Jim and Amy gets bit in the throat and she just sort of dies. Jim gets speared in the hand, and 'tis but a scratch, as they say, and he wants to be left to wander in and find his family in the city as a zombie, which is fun. And issue 6 is basically just Jim dying and Rick and Shane going absolutely crazy and attacking Rick. And then there's a standoff that happens at the end of season 2, and instead of Rick calming him down and stabbing him, Carl, who at this point must be 9, maybe 10 in the comics, shoots him straight through the neck. And the final page of the first book is Carl saying it's not the same as killing the dead ones, and Rick just consoling him, saying it never should be. So what can we take away from this? Well, first of all, we can take away that if Robert Kirkman had his time again, I think he probably would have extended Shane's arc, because while yes, it probably would have made a little bit of difference in the comics with regards to the whole Tyrese and the Herschel's farm arc, it wouldn't have impacted the story majorly in a significant way, but it also would have led to more character development and more of a slowly losing his mind, rather than just snapping, which I think a lot of people thought, especially if you're like me and you've watched the TV show first and then you're coming back to the comics, was a little bit, oh okay, this is much more fast paced. So that's where the comic started. That's the origin. Now obviously there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot of, well, if you look back at season 1, there's a lot of references from season 1 that refer back to this. A lot of differences as well. For example, there's no CDC in the comics at all. So episodes, the latter half of episode 5 and episode 6 of season 1 don't actually happen. So that's an interesting point to make. And then obviously you've got different characters like Morales, who ends up coming back in season 8 episode 1 as a saviour. He doesn't exist in the comics either. Neither does Carol's husband, Ed. he doesn't exist. So there's a lot of differences and a lot of similarities that I'll probably go over in a separate video talking about the Easter eggs and references in season 1. But in the meantime, that's where we're at. So I'll catch you guys in the next one.